Today, I am going to attempt to survive 100 days in the end. Yes, the end dimension. You may think this is quite impossible, but I've installed a mod pack that brings new biomes, mobs, ores, and more to the end. Can I survive and make it back to the overworld within these 100 days? Before we get into the video, only a small percentage of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. These videos take a really long time to make, and it helps me out a ton. Let me know where I should spend my next 100 days down below in the comments. And let's begin with day 1. Once I spawned, I started off just like I would with any other Minecraft world. I got some wood. This sure is different than oak wood. I gathered some endstone and tried crafting a stone pickaxe, but realized I needed a pinkish stone called flavolite to do so. So I started looking around for some. I came across this super cool portal monument looking thing, and I took note of the coordinates. I saw a ton of the precious pink stone I was after, but it was just a bit too far away. And then I started taking damage from some slimes, so I had to run. They're going to be a big enemy over these next 100 days. I took a leap of faith and finally found some flavolite. I was then almost killed by a giant slime. It did so much damage, I was literally at a single heart and had no food. Eventually, I came across some fish that I was able to catch and eat. I upgraded my pickaxe and searched for more pink stone. I started off day 2 mining some flavolite. Then I climbed a tree and crafted myself a better weapon, a stone axe. This should help protect myself against slimes. I knew I needed to get armor, but I had no idea how to get any, so I would worry about that a little bit later. I also crafted a furnace to cook my fish, and I spent the rest of the day hunting and exploring the forest I was in. I smelted some wood to get charcoal and cooked all of the fish I had gotten the day before. I also crafted a new set of tools because mine were already broken. I explored some more and found a super cool looking purple biome that I wanted to explore. So I gathered some of these mushroom blocks that are super easy to break and started bridging over. This biome was super cool. I love how everything is purple. This mod pack has so many unique biomes, it's kind of crazy. I also found chorus fruit, which is another food source. I fought off a slime that really wanted to kill me and looked around a bit more. The wood here is so cool. I think I want to build my base with it. I kept looking around to see if any plants here could be useful, but it seemed like all I could get my hands on was chorus fruit. And then I ate one and forgot that these actually teleport you around when you eat them. So I was kind of terrified the first time this happened. But I guess it was a good thing, because wherever it teleported me to, it brought me right into view with what looked like an end city. I headed over to it, but then remembered that I didn't have any armor. I didn't know what dangerous creatures were awaiting my arrival inside, and I definitely didn't want to take any chances. So I did some research and learned that a good place to start armor-wise is with a thallium ore. It looks something like this and is rather easy to find according to others. So I got myself a few stone pickaxes and started looking around for this lovely blue ore. Don't worry, I wrote down the coordinates of the end city so I wouldn't lose it. I quickly found my first vein of thallium ore. This was so cool. I spent the next few days mining, trying to get enough ore for a full set of armor and maybe some tools or weapons, and I was super excited to raid the end city. I could get diamonds, insane armor, and possibly an elytra. This would help me out a ton. I also found this really strange structure and was hoping for some loot, but all of the barrels and chests were empty. I did grab an anvil and a brewing stand though, and there are a load of bookshelves here, so if I need books later on, I can always come back. I also found a new ore that I grabbed and got end shards from mining it. The next few days were spent mining. Although this mod pack is really cool, I do still need to go mining. I was really just after the thallium ores so that I could make some armor, and by day 11, I had 48 ores. I smelted them and crafted myself a full set of armor. This is pretty equivalent to iron armor. I also tried crafting a sword, but it didn't work. Luckily, this mod pack has a mod that helps me out with crafting recipes. So after doing some studying, I figured out what I needed to do to get thallium tools. But I would need a lot more thallium ore because I need an anvil made out of it, which required quite a few expensive blocks. So after spending 2 more days mining, I finally was able to craft an anvil. And then after doing a bunch of tedious steps that didn't really make sense, I finally got a thallium weapon, which was much more powerful than a stone one. Don't worry, I find out later that it's actually not. I also had enough leftover thallium to craft a pickaxe, but sadly, it wasn't much faster than the stone one. The only thing that could make me feel more prepared is a ranged weapon to fight off shulkers and maybe a water bucket. But sadly that wasn't possible because I had no overworld resources, so I had to make do with what I had. I crafted myself a chest to put all of my stuff in so I would have more room to hold end city loot. Hopefully, since I will be killing shulkers, I'll be able to make some shulker boxes, which will help a lot with carrying items. I spent the rest of day 15 grabbing some ender pearls because they can be rather handy when in dangerous situations. After fighting Enderman, I realized that my Thalassium axe that I just grinded for was actually much worse than my stone one. I was really mad and actually logged off for the day IRL. After coming back refreshed, I swapped my useless Thalassium tools out for stone and did some fishing to make sure I had enough food to fight the End City. I didn't want to eat chorus fruit and be teleporting around during the fight, so I made sure to catch and cook plenty of end fish. And on day 18, I crafted some slime blocks and made sure I had every item that could possibly help me. Then I headed into the End City to hopefully come out with loads of loot. After the first shulkers I killed, I made a shulker box to store some items in. I fought the End City very carefully and blocked myself in quite a lot whenever I felt overwhelmed that I might die. The armor that I got helped me out a ton. There was no way I could do this without armor. I got an insane amount of shulker skulls, and even some boxes spawned in the top room. Sadly, this End City had but one chest. I did get some decent finds in it though. I swapped out my leggings for these brand new diamond ones. I couldn't find any other chests and decided to leave with what I had found, instead of risking my life trying to get more loot. Plus, I know that there will be other End Cities to raid. I packed up my things and decided to head off. Luckily, I had shulkers to store all of my stuff in. I found a cool orange biome, but I wanted to find somewhere to build a base, and there were way too many mobs here. I was searching and searching for a rather plain biome where slimes wouldn't spawn, and eventually came across a biome called the Painted Mountains, and lucky for me, there were no slimes here. I wanted to build my base here, so I got to work. Of course, I utilized all of the cool blocks that I could. I tried using a pink wood at first, but then switched it out for something better. And it also took me way too long to build this house because my tools aren't great and gathering the stone I used for the roof took ages. I also tried to add in some windows, but the end is a rather dark place, so it was still pretty dark and dismal in my house. I started moving my items in and crafted some furnaces. Then I smelted some charcoal to fuel them. I wanted to 100% get better gear at some point in the near future, so I did a lot of reading through forums to figure out how to do so. One thing that I needed if I wanted to upgrade my gear is amber, so I headed back over to the orange biome because that's where amber ore spawns. I mined for what seems like an eternity, but in reality it was only 4 days. And in those 4 days, I was only able to find 2 veins of amber. I think I might have gone out of the biome at some points. I probably should have found some more ore, but after that luck, I just wanted to leave. So I ran home and crafted them into amber gems. It still wasn't enough for an infusion pedestal, but we're getting there. And don't worry, I'll explain what that is later. I thought I would work on some other parts of the gear upgrading process while I take a break from amber mining. So today I chopped wood. You might think this is silly, but you'll see why I need so much wood in a minute. I smelted these logs when I was back in my house. I need a load of charcoal. And today I crafted an Endstone Smelter. This thing is powerful. It will help me upgrade Thalassium into Terminite, which is a more powerful ore. But it can only be fueled with charcoal blocks. That's why I needed all of that wood yesterday. I also needed to craft some ender dust to get Terminite, So I put ender shards that I mined into an anvil, and it broke, so I needed to make a new one. Then I combined the thalassium and ender dust in the smelter and got terminite ingots. While the terminite was smelting, I decided to build something. As I was filming this video, I hit 40,000 subscribers, so I wanted to build a giant 40K for you guys. And of course, I used the pink wood. I want to thank you guys so much for 40,000 subscribers. I totally didn't almost die to an enderman there. But seriously, the support means the world to me, and if you guys haven't yet already subscribed, please consider doing so. Terminite is almost as good as diamond, so I was really excited to get it. I crafted a few pieces of armor, not leggings because I have diamond leggings from the End City, but now I was much more protected than before, and I wanted to go raid another End City. The Terminite axe is actually an upgrade, so I want to work towards that as well, but I would need diamonds. And the only place to find diamonds is End Cities, so I need to find another one. I also really want an Elytra. I was running out of food though, so I spent a few days getting a little bit over a stack of end fish and some building blocks. Then I grabbed my shulkers and off I went. I was out here looking for an End City for a very long time. I guess finding the first one on day 3 was super lucky, because I couldn't find one for the life of me. And finally, on day 45, I found one, and it has an end ship. I ran right over and started fighting it. I almost fell off the tower and would have died to fall damage, but a shulker hit me with levitation and saved my life. I decided to leave that shulker alone. I didn't want to kill him. I got some incredible loot here, including loads of diamonds and shulkers, of course. I couldn't believe how many chests were in this End City. The loot was just never ending. Then, of course, I headed over to the end ship. I knew that there was an Elytra waiting in here for me, but it wasn't very easy to find. There were loads of shulkers and phantoms. Yes, phantoms. For some reason, there are phantom spawners in this end ship. Gosh, that was difficult. But luckily, I was able to break all the spawners and get some loot. And eventually, I did find the Elytra. I took my first flight by jumping off the end ship, and it was so incredible. I've never had an Elytra this early on. I was so far away from my base, but I was too happy to care. I had gotten a ridiculous amount of loot. I don't think I'll ever need to go raid an End City again. So the next few days were spent traveling home. This was a lot faster because I had an Elytra now. And on day 55, I arrived home. This is all the loot I was able to get, and I was unbelievably happy and surprised at what I got. I spent today organizing. Look at all of this loot that I got from the End City. I actually cannot believe this. Maybe this mod pack is better than vanilla. I also got some banners from the end ship and I hung them up around my base and they fit in perfectly. And after all that fun was over, I crafted 2 essentials that I should have had on day 1, a shield and some buckets. I never play hardcore Minecraft without these, so it was a little weird this time around. I also got myself a diamond axe to complete the whole diamond look. While killing some Endermen on day 57, I thought I should probably make an Enderman Grinder. So I looked up a tutorial on YouTube and then I realized I didn't have the materials I would need because I didn't have access to the overworld. So I had to make do with what I had, and I made myself a luxury spawning platform, and it worked perfectly to repair my tools and armor, so that's all that matters. Yes, I know this isn't the most efficient thing in the world, but it'll do. I needed obsidian for a few reasons, but the only way I could think of obtaining it was the towers where the Ender Dragon spawns. So you know what that means. I started preparing myself to head to the dragon fight. I actually really wasn't sure if the dragons spawned in this world, so I was really hoping that I wouldn't be traveling for nothing. Over the next 6 days, I was traveling and bridging across the void to get to the Ender Dragon. But after a long time, I finally made it to the coordinates of 00, and I could see the Ender Dragon off in the distance. I towered up and flew with my Elytra. This was pretty risky, but luckily for me, it did work out. And then of course I started fighting the dragon. The towers were a little tough, and because I had no projectiles, I had to run to each one. And of course, I am super good at MLG water buckets, so I was able to catch my fall perfectly. The Elytra really came in handy here though. I will say this, killing the Ender Dragon with a sword only takes a very long time. But finally, I killed the Ender Dragon. I had so much lovely XP and all of my tools and weapons with mending were fully repaired. Of course, I also grabbed the dragon egg. How could I have not? Right after the fight, I started preparing to head back. I got a load of obsidian and a ton of endstone because I knew that I would have to be bridging quite a bit. On days 69 through 73, I was just heading home. It took me way less time to get home than it did to get to the fight because I had bridged most of the way there. And finally, on day 74, I was home. I made a cute little shrine for the dragon egg and added a campfire because why the heck not? I actually don't know why I did this, but that's okay. I was very excited that I killed the Ender Dragon, but I still had some really big goals ahead of me. And the next one was to get to the overworld. So in this mod pack, there is a really helpful book and I need to craft it. But in order to do so, I need something called crystal shards. And to get crystal shards, I have to find the Crystal Mountains biome. And I'll also need these shards to activate the portal to the overworld. So I ventured out a direction I hadn't gone before and found the most beautiful pink biome ever. If you didn't know by now, pink is my favorite color. I kind of wish that I built my base in this biome. I also found a crashed end ship and there were chests but nothing in them. And after running for a little while, I found the biome I needed. These are beautiful. This has got to be in my top 3 favorite biomes. I harvested loads of crystal shards. Probably more than I needed to, but that's okay. My pickaxe breaks it so quickly. After I had enough crystals, I headed home. And on day 78, I arrived back at my base and I was able to craft the book I needed. I actually spent the entire day reading to figure out what I needed to do. And over the next few days, I did some very complicated things. Basically, I needed to do a ritual to make the crystal shards into eternal crystals, as that's what activates the portal to the overworld. I also decided to get some ruined flavolite in case the portal I find is broken. That's the block that the portal is made of. This was quite expensive, but luckily I had the end crystals from the end cities I had raided. This really came in handy. And by day 80, I had a good amount of eternal crystals and ruined flavolite, and I headed off to find an eternal portal to activate it. On day 81, I found a portal really close to my base. These things are actually pretty common, and to activate it, all I needed to do was to take the eternal crystals and put them on all 6 of the pedestals. And then the portal opened. When it activated, the coolest things happened. It was such a beautiful sight. I jumped through the portal and ended up in the overworld. Wow, I have never played Minecraft backwards like this. You guys have to give this a try. I only spent 2 days in the overworld. I missed this place. I grabbed some essentials and found a village. You may be wondering why I grabbed the beds here. Yes, I know that I can't sleep in the end. I honestly just wanted to put a bed in my base. I feel like that's what makes a Minecraft house a home. I was here for a bit and then came back to the end. And on day 86, I returned home. And this is all of the items I got. You might think this is a hunk of junk, but for someone who hadn't been to the overworld at all for 87 days, this is treasure, my friends. I wanted to start crafting Crystallite Armor. If you don't know what this is, it's basically an armor that is in this mod pack, and it's kind of hard to get. It seems to be a little bit better than diamond armor, but since I won't have enchants on it, my enchanted diamond armor is going to be the better set. Nonetheless, I wanted this cool custom armor set. While looking at the crafting recipes, I noticed that I needed amber, so I went mining for a while. I don't know why it's so difficult for me to find amber ore, but finally I did find it, and luckily for me, I had fortune 2 on my pickaxe. Then I headed back to my base, and I took some terminite armor, amber gems, and crystal shards and put them into an infusion pedestal. At first, it wasn't working. Literally nothing was happening, and I had to try a load of different things, and eventually I just broke the infusion pedestal and replaced it, and it worked. I was able to get Crystallite Armor. This looks way cooler than Diamond, so I might have to rock this for the rest of the 100 days. Oh, I also made this sugarcane farm, but the Enderman keeps stealing the dirt. The best armor in the game is Eternium, but I have absolutely no idea how to get ingots for these, so I guess I'll stick to Crystallite. If you guys want to see a 200 days to this series, let me know. Maybe we can work towards full Eternium tools. And armor, of course. I realized that there were a few biomes I hadn't seen yet, and I really wanted to finish exploring this world. So I went exploring on day 93. First, I went into this umbrella forest and got these really neat purple jelly shroom cap blocks that remind me of slime. Then I headed into this really cool purple biome that I've been in before. I wanted to find a plant or an ore that I hadn't found before, but I didn't find anything out of the ordinary. And let me just say, Endermen are a lot more terrifying when I have an Elytra on instead of a chest plate. I found this really dark, scary biome off in the distance and flew over to it. And right when I landed, I got a blindness effect and saw one of the scariest mobs ever. I still don't really know what these things are called or what they do, but they scare the crap out of me. And I was being surrounded by them. Luckily, I killed all of them and wasn't overtaken. I also found shadow berries, and they were pretty cool. They also dropped seeds, so I might be able to replant them when I get back to my base. And of course, like any biome, I grabbed wood and saplings from here so I could plant these trees back at my base. Happy with my trip exploring, I headed home. I got a little lost, but finally I made it back on day 99. And day 99 and 100 were spent chilling and organizing my stuff for a potential 200 days video. Today I learned that the shadow berries can be cooked and are considered a good food source. And sadly I don't have the block I need to plant them on. I need to get a silk touch soon, and I'm pretty sure I have one from one of the end cities. I also built a wheat farm today, so now I can live off of bread instead of having to go fishing all the time. I also refilled my ender pearl supply today. And that is how I survived 100 days in the end. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video. Let me know if you guys want to see a part 2 to this series. We can get to 200 days if you guys enjoyed this. And thank you guys once again for watching. I will see you soon. Peace.